Hey, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. This is another in my beginners series of lessons. These lessons are aimed at people who've just picked up the bass and they're learning kind of the basics, fretting hand, plucking hand technique. And these tutorials are designed to be easy bass lines that you can apply those things that you're learning, those fundamental techniques, whether you're playing with 2-finger rest stroke or whether you're playing with just 1 finger, or whether you're playing with a plectrum, however you're learning to pluck the strings, and then with your kind of fretting hand technique. These lessons are designed to be simple songs that you can apply that technique learning to get kind of a musical experience rather than learning boring non-musical exercises like scales. So Love Me Do by the Beatles is the next in this series. There's a whole series of these and there'll be more coming. They're all a bonus to a Bass for Beginners course that I've created. If you're interested in finding out more, there's a link underneath the video. Click that link and go have a look, and maybe you'll be interested. And as I say, the complete lesson with the notation and tab for all the parts, for all these songs that are in this sequence, you'll find as bonuses to that course. So if you're interested in that, go and do that, and let's get on with the lesson and we'll look at the intro. You just heard the intro with the Sketch Band in a Box backing track. Got a bit of drums, subtle swing 8th note style, plus we've got some guitars strung away. Simple 2-chord pattern, 2-bar pattern that we use for most of this section. Just those 4 notes played on beats 1 and 3, as I said in the intro. First note is G at the 5th fret of the D string, to D at the 5th fret of the A string, to C at the 3rd fret of the A string, back to G at the 5th fret of the D string. So it's just G, D, C, G, G, D, C, G. Does it again. Then we've got a slight variation, last 2 bars of the intro, and just play the G and the D pattern twice. So we've got a G chord that lasts for 2 bars before we hit the verse. So just play that pattern twice for bars 7 and 8 of the intro. And that's it for the intro. The song then moves on to verse 1 where the vocal would come in. So let's move on and look at verse 1. Heard verse 1, which is an 8-bar section and finishes with the stab on the C, which we'll get to in a second, and then there's a 4-bar transition after that where you get the harmonica in the original and leads back to the vocal. Now we're going to separate those 2 out. We're going to do them all in this section, but separate them out because in verse 2 the verse section itself is identical repeat, but the 4-bar transition is slightly different because verse 2 goes to the bridge. So we start off with this pattern again, G to D to C to G. G's the 5th fret again of the D string, D's the 5th fret of the A string, C's the 3rd fret of the A string, back to that G on the D string. So we play that and we repeat it, then we repeat it again, so repeated for the 3rd time. But then in the verse, what we then do is repeat the C pattern twice more. So you play C to G, back to C to G, and then stab on the C. And that would be where the vocal would be Love Me Do. And then you come back in with the 4-bar tag and you get the harmonica. Now that 4-bar tag is just the variation of that main pattern that we've played. Sorry, not a variation, just a repeat. G to D, C to G, just played twice. And that's the 4-bar tag the first time through. As we'll see in a moment, when we get to the verse 2, the 4-bar tag's slightly different because we're going to go to the, what I guess you'd call the bridge. So let's go and look at verse 2 with the tag to the bridge. just heard verse 2 with the Band in a Box backing track. The verse section, the main part of the verse is just identical to what we've played before. I'll just quickly walk through it. Just this G, D, C, G pattern 3 times, and then repeat 2 more bars of C, and then you've got the stab on C, and the vocal be love me do. Now the 4-bar tag, the second time round, we go G, D, C, G, and then we're going to go G, D, G, G, F sharp, E, G, G, 5th frets of the D string, F sharp on the 4th fret, E on the 2nd fret, all on the D string. And then we're going to go to the bridge. You just heard the bridge with the Band in a Box track. Simple 8-bar section. It's 2 bars of D, a bar of C, a bar of G. The first 4 times we're just going to play something like this. And what we're playing is D, 5th fret of the A string, to A, 7th fret of the D string. Playing that again, D to A, taking that pattern down a tone or 2 frets, playing C to G again, and then playing G to D, and those note locations are as before. Then the second 4 bars we're playing the D to A, D to A, and then we've got a variation in the C bar. We're going to play C, G, C, and then we're going to play G, D, G, and everything stops there, and the vocal starts again, and then the music will come back in with the verse. So C, G, C, and G, D, G. If you listen to the original or listen to the play along at the original at the beginning of this section of the lesson, you'll be able to hear the timing of that. So those are essentially what you need. The only thing that's different is after the second time through you've gone through that bridge, the song just kind of vamps through on the G. So you play from G to D. If you listen to the original, you'll hear that and you'll know what's going on. So if you put those parts together, that's another one in the repertoire of songs that you can play. The sequence of songs, as I said in the intro, is all about applying in the early days of learning the bass, as you're learning fretting hand technique, you're learning picking hand technique. These are giving you practical, real-world bass lines to apply what you're learning with the basics of the bass, the fundamental technique learnings that you'll be doing when you first pick up the bass. So this is another one to put into your list of vocabulary songs or list of songs that you know. There'll be another one along shortly, so I'll catch you in the next lesson.